Thank you everyone for coming in this morning. A brief introduction about the Blockchain Breakfast Club for those of you who are joining us for the first time. So iAngels, we really started doing these monthly sessions to present and educate people on really interesting projects that are happening in the ecosystem. And so each and every month we have a sit down and talk to a founder of a specific project. And everything that you see here, the way that it's going to work, we're going to have a fireside chat and ask Jev a few questions about the motivation and his project, and then afterwards we're going to open up to Q&A. Everything is videographed and will be available online afterwards for circulation purposes. My name is Mor Assia. I'm founding partner of iAngels, and I'm accompanied today by Jev, founder of Enecuum.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for your time. My name is Jev. I'm Chief Business Development Officer, one of the founders of Enecuum.
Excellent. So let's get the ball rolling. Jev, tell me a little bit about your background, where you come from, how you decided to found this venture.
Yeah. So my background is quite vast. I have vast experience in many different technological companies. The last one before Enecuum was Canonical, which is the maker of Ubuntu Linux, and some other Kubernetes and some other things related to cloud and containers. Before that, I used to be Vice President of IT Solution Sales in Huawei in Europe, managing their Western European sales related to also open source, big data, and cloud-related solutions. And before that, I was running my own consultancy and working actually in Israel in many different startups as well. The Enecuum, I basically joined them more or less in the beginning with the team we're only assembling. So we have a genius architect, which is kind of our Buterin, and he used to have his this prototype and idea from 2015. And then, of course, he didn't have the funds and the team to make it really happen. So he found our CEO and CTO, Michael and Tony, in September 2017. And they really, from that moment, they started to work full-time on this venture.
Just about a year.
Yes. Several months, like 2-3 months later, I was actually performing, sponsoring hackathons in St. Petersburg, and first of all to find the best Solidity guys, to find the best team, maybe again to be part of some kind of interesting startup in blockchain. And in one of those events that was sponsored by Canonical, Sberbank, Megaphone, I saw a pitch from the CTO, Tony, and I found out that I know the guy from some previous engagement. He was making AR, VR for industrial plants before, so I knew that he's really special and super professional, and I started to speak with him about the project and got infected, and from that moment on, I actually became part of the team.
Excellent. Where do you guys sit? Where is it?
So it's distributed. We have, I myself am based in Düsseldorf, Germany. We have part of the team which is based in Hong Kong. One of the co-founders is based in Hong Kong with several more team members. The company is registered in Hong Kong, and we have approximately 20 developers that are sitting in St. Petersburg. And the marketing team is also based in St. Petersburg, and CEO and CTO are also there. But probably we're going to move this office to the Baltics in the next 3 to 6 months.
I know you're also in Israel quite a bit. You come here every month.
Yeah. I'm
mainly around.
I'm trying to be here at least 1 week per month.
Well, what do you do when you're here?
So I have family here, my father, my son, and also some customers from previous engagement that I still need to close with them. Some small.
Not relating to Enecuum.
Also related to Enecuum as well. So we have already quite an interesting rise of requirements for proof of concept in quite a big companies here for blockchain as well.
Excellent. So, okay, so let's take a step back now and talk a little bit about, the motivation, the mission. What problem were you trying to solve?
Basically, we're completely new blockchain. It's not a fork. When we started the project, we're still trying to solve three major problems around speed, security, and scalability. We use DAG, directly acyclic graph, which is what IOTA is doing together with blockchain. And this gives a quite good speed, quite tremendous speed actually for blockchain protocol. We try to solve the scalability factor. In order to basically do it, we invented new consensus mechanism, which is proof of work. Proof of activity. And proof of activity is basically mining on a mobile phone. And this allows to turn any Android phone to blockchain node. It's perfect for developing countries, and it's perfect for scalability because like maybe 1% of people, they have data center and some ASICs or servers in the data center that are mine, but everybody has a mobile phone in their pocket. This is how you can bring healthcare blockchain to Somalia or Eritrea or Papua New Guinea or all sorts of countries that currently lack those things.
So you said a few things. I just want to make sure that we're all aligned. So there are essentially two innovations that you just mentioned. First is a new type of consensus that brings together two that we know and one new one. So we have proof of work, proof of stake, and proof of activity.
Yes.
And the combination of the three is the new innovative consensus mechanism that you guys invented.
Yeah.
So I'd want us to talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
And the additional innovative technological part was essentially what you refer to as the HyperDAG, which combines the best of the blockchain and the DAG that IOTA is using. And let's discuss that innovative part as well, kind of like afterwards.
Okay.
Perfect. So let's start with maybe the new type of consensus and how mobile mining is referred to as, in your words, as a proof of activity.
Yeah. So we have proof of work, which is of course done still on ASICs or servers, and this is quite similar to what is already on the market. But of course we use HyperDAG, which is allowing us to make it much faster. We have sharding as well implemented. Then the certification of smart contract goes to proof of activity nodes. So we need to have at least 64 mobile phones in the team, between 64 to 128.
To approve how many transactions?
It depends. So right now we're testing this, so it's super new. But we will have public testnet available next week for proof of activity. Right now, with 4 phones, we reached approximately 2,200 transactions. So the more phones you add,
which is a major accomplishment.
Yeah,
which is
much
faster.
The more nodes you add, it actually becomes faster. So we tested it with 2 phones. It was below 1,000. Then we added more, 2 more phones. It was already 2,200. We simulated this in virtual machines before, and with approximately 64 mobile phones, it can reach around 60,000 transactions per second.
Does it have anything to do with the power of 2? Does it need to be 64, 128, 256, or just 64?
No. So the teams are basically comprised of 64 or 128 mobile phones. We actually check 20 different parameters that it's not a like farm. So we do not want some guys in China to buy thousands of Xiaomi cheap phones and start mine our stuff. We actually wanted to make as distributed as possible.
How can you monitor that? How can you prevent that from happening?
We actually, in our application, we check quite a lot of parameters from the phone, like GPS positioning, 3G positioning, and a lot of other items. So if we see that it's basically one group of people, of phones located in one place, we just bounce them. We completely bounce them off the network. So there might be some issues, but we have quite a very good security team. Actually, one of our advisors is is the CTO of security in Huawei right now. So he's helping us a lot, and so yeah, the proof of activity currently, as I said, next week it will be publicly available. So people will be able, let's say developers already will be able to become part of proof of activity nodes. They will be able to take it on GitHub, try to use it, and mine, test.
Maybe you can use mine if you want. It's gone.
Proof of stake, which is additional mechanism of consensus, will be done also using like servers. Normally, it's an additional way to certify that the transaction is correct. So because we have those three consensus mechanisms, it's very hard to make a 51% security vulnerability to make it happen in our network. Plus, the complete proof of activity, it's super distributed, so it really kind of provides very good mechanism to decentralize the blockchain network.
Okay, so now when we're talking about mobile mining and how everyone can actually do it from their mobile phone, how do you prevent a situation where it's actually a limitation on the phone? Because I think that's always a major concern, as in general, the amount of data we're processing, the amount of video or VR we consume, et cetera, is becoming, in terms of the bandwidth, more and more restrictive of what you can do or what you can't do on your phone. So what's new about the technology that enables you to do that without actually restricting the phone in any way in terms of memory and performance?
Okay, so of course the calculation that is done on a mobile phone is completely different than proof of work. So we still need proof of work nodes, and we passed some part of the calculation to proof of activity nodes. We also optimize the battery consumption, and the software is done using JavaScript. So eventually it takes like a standard messenger from the perspective of the amount of CPU and the battery consumption that it takes from the phone. So it's not drastic. It does not drain your phone like in 10 minutes or half an hour. It's not the case. Part of the team is actually coming from projects with battery optimization. So they had a venture before that was called Enecuum. It's a power bank that can be charged in 30 minutes. 10,000 mAh that you can charge in 30 minutes. Normally, it's charged like 24 hours. And from there, they took some basically things that can optimize the software in order to consume less battery power.
Okay, I know, but also Enecuum tried to do mobile mining, and that was not a project that successfully gained momentum in this regard. Can you explain why that is, or what's different about your approach?
I think if you look at the statistics like of every blockchain project, approximately 85% of blockchain projects, they just have slides and white paper and short paper and a website, which for me sounds ridiculous. Like really, I'm coming from classic startup industry where something like that, it's, if you come with this to VC, they will show you the door. So what is good with our team that we took a different, maybe more classic approach. So we kind of made a very good MVP that is really working and can show most of the things, and the testnet was available, and we can really show that it's 60,000 transactions on the testnet already. And only after that we started to talk with some funds, and after that we actually introduced the product to the market and trying to do the private sale right now. So it's actually something like maybe 5% of the blockchain projects do something like this. 85 is doing slides, and after that they trying to figure out how to do what they promised to their contributors, which sometimes can work, sometimes can't. So you know how it goes. Sometimes R&D can take 3 months. Unforeseen situations can take 2 years. So I think this is where we are different from Electronium, actually. I wish them success and good luck, and probably it will work for them, but it will just take time. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the protocol. I know that you guys have a new smart contract that you guys named Charnel. So let's talk about the Charnel smart contract. What's different about it?
Yeah. So the Charnel smart contract, it looks really like a canvas where you have a graphical interface where you can create very easy, let's say, easy smart contracts. It has a very, very good security and logical creation of this smart contract. It looks really like a platform as a service for smart contracts. So if you're creating a really easy smart contract, the possibility to make a mistake using Petri network and the Charnel smart contract is virtually none. So, but if you're creating something sophisticated, then graphic interface will not help you, and you will need to use some other means. But for simple people that would like to use blockchain and to create smart contracts, that's a very easy way to start creating their smart contracts without compromising on security. So
security is you think the main benefit?
Security and easy way to create smart contracts, because it really works in a graphic interface, like a canvas, and then you can put all sorts of algorithms there to create your smart contract.
Okay, great. So now let's talk a little bit about the Enecuum network and what you're trying to create. Essentially, we're going to have the token, Enecuum. Let's talk about the usage of the token. Why would people hold it? How do people buy it?
Yeah, so for example, for Charnel smart contract, you don't need to basically, it's free. It's very simple smart contract, so it's free. Maybe you'll basically need to pay to the miners based on the amount of storage that you use for your smart contract, but it's very small amount of tokens. The sophisticated contracts, this is where basically our token will be most used.
Can you give an example of what is a sophisticated contract you would want to write?
Some kind of sophisticated mathematical calculations. Or maybe you have some kind of...
What is the use case, like the day-to-day use case for some
use case?
Significant mathematical calculation?
Some kind of, let's say, prototype of optimization of supply chain mechanisms between multiple different companies. So if you have one company and one organization, it's quite easy to make some kind of smart contract to optimize supply chain mechanisms. But if you have some kind of mechanisms that is working between several different subcontractors that supply you parts, and you have also sellers, buyers, so it's becoming very sophisticated, and you can create some kind of mechanism to simulate how it will work before really trying to implement it, because probably you'll be able to understand quite a lot of pitfalls and problems before you do something like this. It can be similar to HPC. Basically, it will be very similar to what HPC also can do. Mm-hmm. So we use the power of a lot of mobile phones to simulate petaflops. So eventually, when the network will be very big, you'll be able to use those kind of a cluster of mobile phones to simulate HPC. So any sort of calculations that you normally can do on HPC, you can do on our blockchain network as well.
So essentially, you use the token to be able to execute such more significant smart contracts?
Yes. So the token will be used to pay for sophisticated smart contracts to the miners, mm-hmm. And this is how miners will be. This is how you stimulate miner activity, or to create a proof of work or proof of activity nodes on their phone. The way that, because they will get paid with our tokens based on sophisticated smart contracts.
So that's the general use case for what you would hold the tokens.
Yeah. So the small amount of it will be for storage, and but the let's say mostly it will be used for payment to miners for giving calculation on their mobile phone or
Just
or
the
on proof of
utility.
work. Yes, just the utility, of course.
Okay. So let's talk about growing the network and what kind of actions do you do to start gaining more interest and for people to join the Enecuum network?
Okay. So of course we're constantly making a roadshow everywhere around the globe. Like right now I'm in Israel, and several days ago my colleagues were in Vietnam, and we're doing it every month. We're going to some other locations to spread the word. From those roadshows, we already have more than 700 startups in the blockchain environment that would like to use our stuff. They would like to test it. They would like to see if it's really working.
And they want to write things on your blockchain.
Yeah, they would like to build dApps on our blockchain and use this blockchain instead of Ethereum, for example. I will give you just example of one of them. So a person, they have a kind of platform similar to eToro, for example, but it's fully just for crypto. And with Ethereum, they can do maybe 2 customers. And they need thousands of customers. So they really would like to use our stuff for that. That's just one example. There are like really a lot.
So out of the 700 startups that would like to write dApps on your blockchain, how does that look like in terms of geographical distribution? Where do you see most of the activity or interest coming from?
Asia. Definitely Asia, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore. So they are much more into this. We see also quite let's say most of the big companies like Unilever, Nestle, and a lot of other ones, they already have a budget for implementing blockchain. So either they're doing POCs right now, but they have like a plan to implement something until 2022 or 2025. So we actually had some of those approaching us. Not we actively doing anything, they just approached us and said, okay, let's do something together, it looks really interesting. We're paying like a lot of money to IBM for Hyperledger right now, what you can do in order to save our costs, what is the difference. So we see quite a lot of requirements, even from the OEM perspective. I do not like to speculate. This is like really, I don't like to do it. But I can say that one of the biggest companies in virtualization in the world approached us and said, okay, let's see how we can implement your stuff in our product. And the same for networking. I would guess the second largest networking manufacturer in the world also. So we see quite a lot of requirement already. It's not purely crypto. It's going to adoption this year and the next 2 years for sure.
Excellent. Interesting. So what is the timeline for the product, for like the next big steps of Enecuum?
So we will have the public testnet available probably to some specific tests already next week. I would guess maybe even next week it will be already published on GitHub, maybe with small delay, where people will be able to test the proof of activity and proof of work. And the complete mainnet will be available for tests also in end of summer. It will be GA around September, October.
So really close.
Yes, definitely. And my responsibility will be to bring it to adoption, and I will start doing it immediately after the private sale in end of August.
So that's the timeline for the private sale to be completed by the end of August.
Yeah, so we're going to start actually tomorrow, officially.
So happy to have you here today.
And we're going to end it in end of August. Yeah.
Okay. So if how can individuals who are interested in the project can potentially invest in it or get more involved?
Okay, so. First of all, the first step would be to pass the KYC on our website. They can speak with me right now here. After the KYC process, we contacting, in a few days afterwards, we're contacting all the contributors and trying to understand what will be their involvement in the project. So we're definitely looking, first of all, for smart money partners that can bring some kind of added value, like help us with adoption or with community or with other things. So in terms of financial contributors, we have already more that we want, actually, quite more. So we're definitely looking to cherry pick.
Now just cherry picking, you know, the right partners.
Yes, definitely. It doesn't mean that somebody who wants to contribute like something small will not be accredited. It's just, I perceive that even one person can make a difference. So it depends what he can bring to the project.
So we're looking for active participants.
Yes,
mainly.
yes, definitely. We're looking for people that can help us with adoption. That's number one value for us right now.
Excellent, perfect. So, okay, I think with that, either we have like two options. I know you prepared a few slides that you wanted to share with us. I don't know if we missed something that...
Yeah, I would like to mention that what we're doing, this mobile mining, this like, the complete blockchain, I think it's very beneficial for, first of all, for developing countries. Because in countries like Israel or Germany, like the processes are working there for years. Of course, they are maybe not perfect, and you can optimize them. But I think the value of blockchain, first of all, is in developing countries, like let's say countries in Africa or Latin America or some parts of Asia, where people do not have basic means like banking or healthcare or some other products. I was living in Africa, in Angola, for 2 years. I know how people live. You know, there is virtually impossible to find their data center, and you get from...
you only have your phone.
Yeah, and you get electricity maybe 4 hours per day from the grid. So the only way to do something is with people running with mobile phones, and you have a lot of them there. All of them have the latest mobile phones. I don't know why. So this is probably the best way.
Because it's everything. It's their wallet,
Yeah.
it's their phone, it's their...
Yeah, exactly. So this is the way, the best way to make their life better and provide them some added value services. So we actually already talking with some big mobile operators.
In Africa? Or
everywhere,
generally?
Everywhere. We're talking with, like, right now with mobile operators that have 600 million subscribers. And they are super interested, and we actually visited one of their European headquarters in Luxembourg, and we had tremendous positive vibes from them. So as soon as we have a probably public testnet available, we're going to move forward with them. And they are not the only one with who we're talking, so we talk with quite a lot. Why it's interesting for mobile operators?
I mean, just a few of those are gonna, jumpstart your adoption significantly, because if they're your distributors, then I'm assuming you have the ability to reach out to millions of people or hundreds of millions of people.
That's definitely a better distribution. But mobile operators, they have one problem. If you take all of their life cycle, the problem, of course, become much worse with all the OTTs like WhatsApp, Telegram, and the other ones. But the problem that they have, it's ARPU, average revenue per user, because it's going down all the time. So eventually they're like a pipe for data, that's it. So they want to create additional value for their customers. And I think in order to do this, you need to really make some drastic changes. So from my perspective, they need to go blockchain full all the way. Okay. And if they're going to do this, we're going to help them with that, of course.
Excellent, exciting. So good luck with the operators. Now, happy to open up to some QA from our audience. Yes?
Is this organization a foundation or a company? If it's a company, what is your revenue? How do you plan to make money?
Okay.
It's not free. If this goes to the miners.
So how we are going to make money? First of all, this is why I'm in the company. We're going to create several tracks. One for startups, where we help them to adopt our protocol. If they know how to do it themselves, it's fully open source. They can do it. So I'm coming from canonical Ubuntu. I'm into like open source completely, full way. If they have the knowledge, they can do it on their own. If they don't have the knowledge, so they can hire us for professional services, consulting and support. This is for startups. We will have very good pricing for startups, which will not be available for other tracks. We'll have track for the enterprise, where basically enterprises are already coming and approaching us and requesting end-to-end solutions based on blockchain. So first of all, we cannot deliver something like that because we focus only on the protocol. So we're going to take one of the startups that is present in our ecosystem, bring them to the enterprise, and make the project together as one project, because we definitely will need either a DApp provider or a system integrator or something, somebody like this. We have requirements from healthcare, from finance, from supply chain, from many, many different areas already. So there is a very big requirement. I can analyze this possibility from the perspective of how Canonical was making its money, so it will be quite similar. So it will be consulting, professional services, and support packages. Except for the enterprise, we'll have education track, where we create educational programs together with key universities or business schools. We already have some traction with the Frankfurt School of Business, Frankfurt School of Finance, which is the best business school in Germany, and with some Code University in Berlin. And this is just a start. We'll have a government track. In government, we see a tremendous requirement for digital transformation and everything related to document management. So all the paper must vanish. So in countries like Israel, it's already happening, especially in healthcare. You have it like 10 years ago. Like you have the card from Kupat Cholim, and you can do with it a lot of, you come with a doctor, he sees all your rentgens, urine tests, whatever. In Germany, it's absent. Imagine that. It's not there. You need to take all this pile of your medical documents and go with them from doctor to doctor. So they all have this in mind, the digital transformation, but they just don't understand how to do it, and I think blockchain is the right way. Specifically, if you travel between countries, you're expatriate, it can create a lot of new business cases and save lives sometimes.
So essentially, it's a consultancy business, but do you have like a separate team for that, or is it?
Okay, it will be. We will have one company which is current Enecuum. They will be responsible for developing the protocol. It will be open source. Probably we'll have an additional entity which will take care of the business, of course. Yeah.
The consultancy service.
Yes. Yes. Except for the enterprise and government tracks, we will have also a vendor track where we will provide certification packages for vendors and OEM packages. This is like present currently under Linux Foundation, and in Canonical as well. They have the same program for Microsoft, from Amazon Web Services, for Google. So we see requirement from quite a big vendors in blockchain implementation in their products. So if they can do it on their own, we'll provide them all the documentation and everything. But normally, they can't right now. So this is where we're going to make our business.
It's very interesting. And how do you get the proof of activity code or proof of activity engine on people's phone? And does it require interaction, the user interaction?
So it's basically an application that you install on your phone.
Does it need to run in the? Does it run in the background, or
Yes.
does it run in the front?
Yes.
It runs in the background.
And we support only Android. We do not work with Apple.
Android.
No, not because of their latest messages, because we're actually going to make probably something working for Apple as well. It's much easier to do this currently for Android devices. So it's our application which is installed, and then basically a phone becomes part of our blockchain network. And if somebody wants afterwards to create a DApp, he will probably need to install two applications. Yeah. So a DApp and our application running on the background.
An API to be embedded in another app that
I
is
think,
using your.
I think it's something that we can discuss offline. I guess my CTO will be the best person to answer this. We're trying to optimize it as much as possible. So It of course will be open source, so in the next few weeks already you'll be able to get it on GitHub and try to test it. And if you have some kind of deep technical questions, just send them to me. I will connect you with our technical team.
On the business side of the mobile app, what do I, as a user who install the app, what do I gain?
Okay, so basically you will get our tokens on a daily basis. You get some portion of the tokens because you provide us some storage and some CPU power and some memory on your device.
Exchange where I can later on trade?
We do not have an exchange.
Not your exchange. Did you partner with an exchange?
It's confidential at this stage. I can say that we're not, let's say, different from other blockchain projects in this perspective, and you'll be able to do with it whatever you want, you know, from the perspective of changing. But at this stage, I cannot provide too much information about this. I can tell you that we're probably will be in line with companies like EOS and Hashgraph with their plans of doing something similar, and yeah.
I have a question. So, I mean, it's a continuation of the question that was asked. So, for instance, I download the app, and I'm starting to get tokens. I also need to have a wallet, or you keep the tokens, or
Yeah, we have,
what if I don't have
we
a
have
wallet?
part of
I'm
the-
someone in Africa,
Part of the app is actually a wallet. It's our wallet.
so you have a wallet.
Yeah. We have a wallet. Actually, I have a video of how it works. I can share it already, but it will be available already next week for download and installation as well.
Excellent. Okay. Yes.
As about Africa, as I know, there are a lot of connectivity issues, and as I know, your application needs some stable and high-speed internet connection, mobile internet connection. So could you please tell a little bit more about how you think it should work when the user is limited with the internet connection?
I can tell you that it's.
First, let me just repeat the question one second for the benefit. So what happens when people have connectivity issues in remote regions of the world, and they're reliant on this like strong connectivity to actually do mobile mining, right? So how do you overcome this challenge?
So about African connectivity, it's not exactly correct, but as somebody who used to live there, I can tell you that in 2007 in Angola, I had the EVDO connection that was working better than my current 4G connection in Germany.
Yeah, but Angola is not the whole Africa.
Oh, yeah, of course, but basically most of the African nations, they pass this, they have really good technologies for 4G and the LTE, and they're actually doing it much better than the other countries because they don't have infrastructure, so install the latest one. But
in case of the connectivity issues, how are you going to let people to contribute to the network? Because you're talking about like massive adoption because of there are a lot of mobile users all over the world, but we know for sure that there are some high-speed centers like, for example, Japan, yeah, or Great Britain, and a lot of people that are not able to deeply involved in the internet communication just because of connectivity issues.
okay, so we actually look into big picture and trying to solve this problem as well. Of course, not only ourselves. We have a project with who we have some level of partnership. It's a very stealth project. I cannot mention too much, but this project is making a completely decentralized infrastructure for mobile networks that you can, as a user, put a small base station like this on your window and distribute this to other neighbors or in the places where you don't have connectivity, and you'll be paid in tokens as well. So that's actually revolutionary because they completely take full evolved packet core, which cost millions of dollars, and they put it in a small device in Kubernetes Docker containers. So just to give you an example, a good base station from Ericsson cost approximately $100,000. This base station will cost approximately $200, $300. So that's one of the options. But in many cases, we have, in the team of 64 or 128 phones, the phone that has the best CPU and the best memory and the best internet connection will get more tokens. Yeah, this is how we basically stimulate this. You know, of course, we need more power.
And one more question, please. You told about different consensus algorithms and the know-how of Enecuum, which is the combined algorithm. But what's about the TPS? Because as we know, consensus algorithm, that's fine, but the solution that you described is probably more about security and scalability.
So currently, on the proof of work, we had 60,000 transactions per second on the testnet. And as I said, with mobile phones, in the next few days, we're supposed to get like 100 of them. So we'll be able to test it more. With 4 phones already, or just on proof of activity, we had more than 2,200 transactions per second. So our theory is working. It's not only theory. When we're adding more phones, it actually gives more transactions.
For what reason? Because that couldn't be just because of the consensus algorithm.
No. Consensus algorithm is, as you said, it's more related to security. The speed, for which reason the speed gets bigger, it's basically the combination of DAG and blocks together. That's the main advantage. It gives much higher speed, but we actually normally when this question asked, we are sharing a complete block diagram with full explanation, and it gives quite good explanation why the speed is there.
The way that I understand it is because you use the HyperDAG, you get better speed but less security, yes. And because you use a more like a different type of algorithm, you get maybe security to offset that.
Exactly.
Because you're jeopardizing security when you're using the HyperDAG versus the blocks versus
yes.
blockchain. So I think that's the offset, and that's maybe important to say.
Yes, that's correct.
Sharding, is it really works at the moment?
Sharding is already working, yes.
More questions? Yes.
Today, ecosystem see many events with blockchain. Today's ecosystem is seeing many projects of new blockchains, new types of algorithms. Most of them have failed and have been hacked, 1% attack, and so on, simple attacks. And the big guys like IBM, Hyperledger, Ethereum, can consider them the big guys trying to solve this exact problem. How I as a person should trust your solution?
It's actually a really good question. So basically, if you look at most of the blockchain protocols right now, I personally didn't saw even one of them that made some kind of super official security audit with a company that's specializing in security audit for as a standard, like let's say TrustWave. Show me one blockchain protocol that made TrustWave security audit and completely open it to the public. We actually we actually see the opposite. We see several teams that are trying to bully security researchers that are finding some holes in the protocol. So in our case, we're going to do at least 2 audits. One with like de facto standard company that is making audit of casinos, of some, let's say, sophisticated financial systems. Probably it will be TrustWave. And another audit will be by a white hacker team, which is kind of really popular in the blockchain environment to find the vulnerabilities. We have very good security team right now. and we're doing actually our best to bring new advisors in security domain. So we have one person right now who is CTO of security from Huawei, and we're trying to bring another guy who's like in also very known company in the world. He's one of the ex-CTOs of McAfee. Not related to the known figure in McAfee. I hope I answered your question.
More questions? Yes.
So you were talking a lot about, reaching out to people to have their phones become nods, as well as working with startups and enterprises and governments. So what's like the strategy? Because how can you attack everything at the same time, or how are you progressing with it?
So one of the advantages is probably one of the advantages of building a team, if you have team from your previous engagements. So all you need to do is just infect some really good friends that you would you know that they're performers, and you know that they can scale out the business, and then all it takes is just a good salary package to bring them on board. So in my case, I can hire a guy right now in New Zealand, in Kuwait, in everywhere I need. Mainly those are coming from some previous companies where I used to work, and they are already infected with our project. They're just waiting for a green line for me to get hired. And I know that those guys are super performance in scaling alliances and partnership business, enterprise business, or any sort of tracks that I just mentioned.
Yes.
Hi. Your token that you launched, your Enecuum token, which is ERC20 compliant, so is that saying people can launch their own tokens for STOs down the line and then choose to use your blockchain as their blockchain rather than like an Ethereum blockchain?
Yeah, first of all, we're going to release ERC20 token. After some time, we're going to completely swap it to our own. And we will have a migration mechanism even. For people that already have some ERC20, they will be able to easily migrate to our stuff.
And then you'll have an exchange that you'll be working with.
Yes, definitely. So we, what advantages that we bring? Of course, for example, the language with what you write your smart contracts will be JavaScript and not Solidity. So it's much easier to find developers writing JavaScript rather than Solidity. Yeah.
More questions? Yes.
How will businesses developing real-world applications be able to price out how much the tokens will cost them to actually run the applications?
Okay, so in most of the cases, to use our network, and we're talking about like Charnel smart contracts is actually free of charge. So you're paying just for the storage, for the amount of storage that you're using. We can actually simulate quite easily how much it will cost them. But eventually, when you're talking about end-to-end blockchain projects, there are different steps in the project. So one of them is choosing the right protocol that suits your use case. Another one is either build some kind of application on top or hire a system integrator that will optimize business processes according to your requirements. So it's super project-based, and that's maybe a disadvantage because the scalability of this business is still not in a SaaS mode, when you can just go to like, I don't know, Google Play and install an app. It's still not working like that. And I think it will never will, if you ask me specifically, because business process optimization, it's very tough business and requires quite a lot of software development, risk management, project management. It's not something that you can just drag and drop and know that it will cost you 5 shekels as tomatoes. It's not a commodity product. And hopefully, for me, it will never will be. Because when everything turns to commodity, the business is destroyed completely. So.
Yes.
You mentioned that you require mostly JavaScript developers, but you also need Haskell developers, which is much harder to...
So the complete product that we made is on Haskell. But if you write smart contracts, it's actually just JavaScript. So yeah, we write on Haskell. All our project is based on Haskell. This is the language of our main architect, and we consider this to be a very stable language. So yeah, it's hard to find Haskell software developers. You're right.
Great. Additional questions before we wrap up? Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jev, for spending the time with us this morning.
I actually have one thing to say. We have software developers in St. Petersburg, so this is maybe something that is not so known in the world, but one of the best places for blockchain software developers is actually St. Petersburg. It's really a mecca for really good teams of software developers. Companies like HitBTC or Cardano, they have quite a lot of groups sitting in St. Petersburg and doing projects for them. And this is the reason why I got so infected, because from the technical perspective, the teams there are super professional. So, yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You guys are welcome to stay and ask some more questions. I want to thank the Rise for hosting us, and our co-sponsor eToro, and all the iAngels and iCapital teams. We'll see you at the next Blockchain Breakfast Club. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.